Okay, it's the final episode of Red Sox Now. We talk about the 2025 season. Thanks for joining me on a Friday morning. Happy weekend. Hey, we've got the weekend. I know it's not the best day for all you Red Sox fans. We do have Yankee fans that watch. I know you're happy. We do have general baseball fans that do watch the podcast, the video cast, whatever you want to call it. So thanks a lot. First time aboard. Couldn't thank you enough as we're close. 30 subscribers away. We'll hit 2,000. Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm Mike. You know that by now. You'll see my handle on the comments, Mike Antonellis Media. It's free to follow me there. It's free to follow me on here as well. And if you'd like to get into the interactive off the YouTube, I talk to a lot of you on all the social media. Right, Scott? We talk on X. I got folks on TikTok, Instagram. I got a fantasy football question on Instagram last week, which I don't remember if it worked. I don't know. I hate giving advice sometimes and saying, oh, will you pick these? Because it never works. And same with betting. If I give out, a bet to somebody and it doesn't work, I feel absolutely horrible. It just always seems to happen. I can't remember what it was, but not the most important thing. You are all important. And final show talking about, final show of the week, and then final show talking about the Red Sox 2025 season. If you live under a rock, and you didn't see the other games, Detroit held on. They advanced. The Cubs, the Padres made it interesting in the ninth. Wow. And, of course, the Yankees move on. Cam Schlittler was outstanding. I mean, bottom line, outstanding. I want to talk about the Yankees a little bit, too. I love player development. I've been a minor league broadcaster for 30 years. And I've been in the Red Sox system since '05, working with Portland and working with the Woo Sox. I was with Pawtucket in 2020, by the way. If those that don't know, we had no season. We serve food on McCoy Stadium's field. We were waiter and waitresses. That's what I did during the pandemic. It was interesting. It was fun. We'll do a whole show on I'll do a whole show on that. What I did, I will. I got to write this down, right? Would you guys and gals want that? Because pandemic show. I was just telling my landlord this yesterday. I moved here. The day I moved into Mass, back to Mass, I grew up here. As the movers were putting stuff in, this is just a little tease. The world was officially shut down, and I'm on my phone going, if they see this, they're going to leave. I just got this stuff in. I'll tell you, because there was some opportunities I had that got canceled. But yeah, we will do a show on that. All right. See, I get off course, but I know you guys and gals don't mind. Since 2005, I've seen the Yankees at AA and AAA, and I can tell you this, and I know I've mentioned it before. For some of you already know this. They have run circles around everybody in not developing pitching. It's drafting. It's finding the right guys. If Schlittler was in another organization, throwing the way he does, that four-seam fastball, he'd be pretty good. But it's the whole ball of wax. The arms that they've had. Whitlock was one of their arms. They've traded many. This guy is only in the big leagues because of the Clark Schmidt injury. Now, conversely, Connolly Early, that is your third rotation you had to use, right? He was the 14th different pitcher. So, no doubt a good one. Very symbolic where the Red Sox are kind of turning as an organization, becoming like the Yankees. That's what the Yankees decided to do a long time ago because they always hit. And they know that. They know they needed arms. But it was as I was thinking about it last night, they did something, they had adversity just like you did with pitch. I mean, to lose, I think it was bigger. I know the team's better in some areas and in a lot of areas, right? I mean, just on paper, having right now having Fried and Rodon, that's unbelievable. I'd still want Crochet. Like, I wouldn't want to trade those two. Like, if someone said, would you rather have Fried or Rodon over Crochet and Bayo? I would say no, because I just think Crochet is way better. But the fact is, to have your ace out, which they did, you still had two pretty good starters and number ones, and those guys are number ones on most teams. And you were able to overcome a Clark Schmidt injury, which they were worried about, with a guy that began the year in Double-A, who could be the star of the postseason. He's going to start another game. There's no doubt about it. That's impressive. It really is. You have to tip your cap, and that's their organization under Brian Cashman, who's been there forever. That's something that they really hit home first. And I can tell you this from year after year, getting our brains beat in Portland and seeing it and talking to coaches over and over and over on bus rides and them saying, we got to be more like that. You need arms, right? And I think the Red Sox have done that. That's what, and we'll get to that. That's what's exciting is I know there's some offensive challenges and they stalled last night, but I like where it's going. Trending. I know. I mean, the offense. Yeah, we know that. But you can't win without the other. The other is so much more important. And the Yankees are a good example. You know, they didn't score a ton of runs in that series with some really good players, but you have to tip your cap to Schlittler, who, you know, I think it was interesting to me because a buddy of mine was like, who's not a huge baseball fan, and I actually love people who aren't diehards because they have a completely different perspective. Because his point to me was, it seems like they're talking about early a lot more being a rookie, but isn't the other kid a rookie? I'm like, yeah, he is. I thought there was equal, but maybe, you know, here locally there wasn't. But that was just the whole, you know, the fact that you had two guys who began the year in Double-A, starting Game 3, and I thought Early was pretty good, considering. I mean, he came up 2 months to Triple-A after Schlittler. By the way, Early made a rehab outing against Double-A Somerset, the Yankees affiliate, and Giancarlo had a double off him, so he had some experience against them. I don't know how much that, you know, I'm sure Stanton was not. He might have been able to give him a little scouting report. I don't know if anyone asked him that. I don't know how many people knew that. The Double-A team actually tweeted that out. But it's funny. Somerset tweeted that out, a double, and then Portland replied, but Early also struck him out. I thought that was a cool little thing. So, yeah, the offense, you know, stalled. I do love Alex Cora. I don't completely agree with him on his assessment of that it was just all defense. But listen, at the end of the day, I'll go back to that fourth inning. You didn't score any runs. But I don't, you know, he made it sound like the Rosario ball was just the ball that found the hole. It was hit 108. I actually personally thought after he walked Stanton, I would have almost pulled the plug. I just felt like the way he played it the night before, but he didn't play it the same way. And it could be availability of guys, and it could be that he just trusted Early more. And, you know, yeah, the Bellinger ball could have been caught, but none of that, when you're in an elimination game, none of that matters. The fact that he had first and second, nobody out, but he got Rice. But then it was 108 off the bat of Rosario. It was 101 off the bat of Chisholm. Volpe had a soft hit. It was only 85. The error on Lowe, that ball was hit 101. But again, you know, if Lowe makes that play, they turn a double play. They get out of it with 2 runs. The fact is you didn't score any runs. So I thought the way he handled everything was really good. You just, offensively, you had no chance last night. You had no chance. And, you know, I got some emails and messages about the Red Sox handle velocity. we just, I get that, but not all velocities built the same. You can't just look on paper. If you watched, my dad sent me an email today, first thing in the morning. That guy was amazing. Yeah. I mean, if you just watch the game, use your eyes. I don't care his velocity, his four-seam fastball, which he threw, it seemed every pitch. Didn't it feel different? Didn't it look different? He threw that pitch, 70? I mean, I'm going to bring it up here. He threw 50 four-seam fastballs, 48%. He got 70% strikes. He got 10 swings and misses. He topped out at 100. He was 97 to 99 all night. Sinker's a fastball as well, so if you want to go fastball family, 75 pitches were in the fastball family with 12 swings and misses. His cutter was really good, and he threw a curveball 11 times. So 96 pitches were with velocity. His cutter topped out at 97. I mean, he was incredible. That really is the bottom line. I mean, I didn't think that you had a lot of chances. I don't think it really to go back and overanalyze the fourth inning. They should have done this. At the moment, I was like, yeah, maybe they should have taken him out. But the fact was, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I mean, I'm going to get someone that says, well, if you got it out with 0, maybe, well, okay, but you showed no ability the third time around, right? The third time around. And the Yankees used just that one inning, and one of the runs was unearned, I think they scored less runs in a series win than they have in a long time because they pitch as well. That was one thing I talked about going into the series, was that they can match you with starting pitching, and most of the teams now can. But a tip to the cap to Schlittler. That is a really, really good arm, and it's crazy that he only got there because of an injury. Same with Connolly early. Isn't that crazy? I do think there was a lot of good from last night, and there's some things that we'll get to that are good to happen in the biggest moments. But don't you think that this kid has locked in a spot for 2026? I think so. Eduardo Perez, I'll give him credit, though. He said the second time around would be tough, and it was, but I didn't think it was crazy bad, right? He still made pitches. He still got some good guys out. It's his second professional season. And he pitched at AAA in August. And he's pitching Game 3. If you take all those things in, what your eyeballs showed you over 3 2/3, I liked a lot. The stuff, yes. But I am more of a beyond that. You have, and you heard that they were talking about it. You have to look at the composure, how they handle, and Schlittler too. The two of them locked in rotation spots. I mean, Schlittler's already been in the rotation for a while. They didn't look phased one bit, and you can see that when players do. But I thought that was impressive. Give that, those two kids getting the ball in Game 3. Early still threw 52 of 78 pitches for strikes. I love how he's got a good repertoire. He's not a thrower. And when I think about Peyton Tolley, it is his first pro year. He's obviously needs to develop more of his repertoire than early, which he could in his second year. But maybe he's a future Chapman, right? Maybe he is a reliever down the road, 2 innings, and that's how they build him up. You like guys to keep starting because it helps replicate their delivery. It helps, he's still the first year. And I think we thought after that start against the Pirates, geez, this could be a starter. I think that it's not even a question mark. There is no way Connolly Early begins the year in AAA. He is, and to find that and figure that out, right? Because the minor leagues are the minor leagues. And when you see a guy that can go out there in game 3 of an elimination game in that ballpark and look composed, poised, and execute, because if you went back and watched that, I know the fourth inning's the fourth inning, and again, the Bellinger ball should have been caught. He pitched around Stanton. He should. He made Rice look sick. And then just the rest of the inning got a little unhinged, which happens. But go back and if you watch it again, and just watch how he pitched, to those guys. He had Judge off balance on a changeup. He worked around that double. I thought that second inning, Stanton doubles. It was almost a home run, and he came right back and struck out Rice. He got Rosario and struck out Chisholm. That's a great lineup. A lot of great hitters in that lineup. And so I take away from this, postseason does do something for me about a player. I remember when Tom Brady won that Super Bowl in 2001, and I told my dad, if he can do this, nothing ever is going to be harder for him, right? That his first year starting as a quarterback, and he does something like that. Now it's not that easy. He worked immensely hard, but to see some of those, young pitchers in that, same with Schlittler again too. It says a lot. And I think the future is bright. I told someone yesterday, they asked me my prediction, and my gut said the Yankees. I just didn't, I didn't think their pitching could hold up against what they had. If Schlittler had any trouble, they had Heel and Will Warren all ready to go. And they had so they had more of a bullpen. I kind of thought the way the game went last night, that's how it was going to be. And I thought that could happen. But I still, for my expectations, the Red Sox, going back to the offseason, and I know there's still a focus on the trade deadline, which is insane to me. I saw a beat writer yesterday for the Red Sox blaming the game the other night on the trade deadline. I don't want the trade deadline to be where you have to complete your team. Well, the Yankees did it with Bednar. They did. They gave away the top catching prospect in baseball, which you didn't have. It's fine to be critical of the Red Sox with some moves. I don't mind that. But when I hear who some other teams got, look at what they gave up. You did not have some of the players at the positions that teams wanted. You did not have a catcher in the system like Jose Flores or Rafael Flores, whoever the Yankees gave up. He's probably going to play in the big leagues every day. And what other teams do, to me, I don't care. What I care about is fielding a good team. And that's what they did. Going back to the offseason and Breslow's first gig in his second year, they made a commitment to getting better. The Bregman thing looked out of the norm. And I'm saying, okay, so now they're okay with spending money. They don't care about trading certain prospects for that position. Getting the 3 guys they did changed their whole season. Crochet, Chapman, and Bregman it changed everything. When you're a reliever and you see a 37-year-old throwing 101, I'm sure Chapman was a great mentor to a lot of young pitchers in that bullpen every night. Bregman was a great mentor. Crochet's a leader, and he's in his 20s. He told them what to wear on the road trip. So I look at how it started, and I saw commitment. Yeah, we know Kyle Teal's good. We don't care. They're making harsher decisions under Breslow, and Core is part of that. And that's what I want. I want the decisions that make people uncomfortable, right? And you could criticize Heim for some of that, but again, we don't know. At there's things that he could have maybe done or he could have signed, but there were restrictions, which we thought, and he did a fantastic job because a lot of those guys that he drafted or kept have turned out. And I don't like to go back and do that. I just looked at how they started. The Crochet deal, trading for Narvaez, signing Chapman, signing Bregman, signing Justin Wilson. I mean, they signed 80, and they made a lot of good moves. They committed to Christian Campbell. Whether you like that or not, they made a decision to do that. That was a hard decision. He won Rookie of the Month. It didn't work out, but they weren't afraid. We're going to trade 4 prospects for Crochet. We're going to give him a boatload of money. We're going to make him our number one. They did that. They did it with conviction. There was no, they did it. We're going to sign Chapman. He's closing for us. We know. We're going to give Bregman $40 million. We're going to trade Devers. We're going to be better. I like that. Whether that can come off, I'm sure that irked people, but it's defiant. It's to the point. It's harsh decisions. We're going to call up Roman Anthony. We don't care. And we're going to give him a boatload of money, and he's going to play every day. He's going to lead off. So I like where they're going. Breslow, we got to get better pitching. Okay, prove it. He drafted Connell early. Right? Did he or not? Am I mistaken? No, that was Heim, 23. He took Tolley. The 23 Heim draft is pretty damn good because it has Early and Christian Campbell in it, and some guys coming. But as we turn the corner to 04, Teal too, that got you Crochet. He took a bunch of pitchers in 24, and then 25, Witherspoon, Phillips, Evenson, and a bunch of pitchers, and made the commitment, under his watch going forward, we have to be built better in the pitching. And I think they've done it. There's no other year any year in 2018, if they had to use 15 different starting pitchers, they're not in the playoffs. There's no way. I was there. We did not have 3 or 4 guys in the minor leagues. We had nobody in Portland, I'm telling you that. But to go with 15 different starting pitchers and win 89 games and almost eliminate the Yankees. So I take what my expectations were. And it was just to get the playoffs, to be honest. I didn't think they were good enough to win a World Series. But in 1 year, you became significantly better, and you found out a lot about your team. Now, offensively, I think it's good to see what happened last night on a national stage. I know that sounds crazy, but it proves that, going forward, you need to have more less swing and miss. I know the Yankees struck out a lot, but that's the Yankees. But it shows that and you need to have some changes there, I think. And Anthony will make a huge difference, but I think they know that. They've talked about that. Cora talked about it last night. What I like about that is easier to fix than the other thing. I know people get sick of me talking about it, but I mean, you watch this team every year without arms, and they go home in September. So for all for all the things that they went through this year, they were able to still get to the playoffs with an organizational filled with a lot of young players. And that's why I like where they're going, because you have now locked in core players. Early is definitely in your rotation. You know how hard it is to find starting pitching, I don't think we still can fathom that. And now you're going to have Crochet, Bayo early, and we'll see what else happens. And they have so many options now, which I would go into a season thinking, are they even going to be able to fill a rotation? Now they have a surplus, and they're going to be able to do so many things. And trust me on this, you don't need to go nuts offensively. I think we look at that. Did the lineup look different just with Rome and Anthony in it? Absolutely. Absolutely. Look completely different. Changes the whole. Right? So maybe they Anthony and maybe it's Alonso. That would change if you think about it. If you had Anthony, Story, Bregman, even Yoshida, because Yoshida puts the ball in play, he can hit still. Or regardless, your guys. Anthony, if they stick with Duran, Story, if Bregman stays, and a Alonso, like your core, that's good. I think one thing that I am going to be critical of Cedar Rafaela, he's got to understand he's not a 50 home run hitter. That was an issue with him a few years ago. They had issues with his approach, and he didn't start the year in AAA he was mad. They made him go back to AA, 22, whatever year it was, because they wanted that approach to be better. They harped on it with him. They really pushed him on this. And I just thought, those last couple of months, he's too big. He's just too big. And he's not that kind of hitter. And they'll fix that. They'll work with these guys. They're still young, right? I mean, Abreu and Rafaela are still, that's just their second full year playing. But I think him in particular, because we saw so good, but, and we'll wrap this up and we'll get to the comments here. We have to have less of this offensively next year. I know their numbers look good overall. Offensively, they were really up and down. And that, some of that, Devers didn't help, but they won a lot of games, and their offense was pretty good. Nobody was talking about Devers once Anthony was hitting. No one was saying anything. They always bring it up after they start struggling. But, there were times and pockets of games and weeks where guys just were really off balance. Romy was one that was not. He didn't look great in this series. That happens, facing good arms. But the swings sometimes offensively were, really bad. But again, what's the evidence show you when you have pitching? You won 89 games, and you had some weeks where you didn't hit. That to me is still. I would go back and take it 1,000 times. And I think going forward, I'm excited. I really am, because I know what they have coming up. I know what they've drafted. I love the core. I love these young players. And I'm excited for the offseason because there's going to be a lot of moves. I can't wait. Let's get to your comments before we head out. At the Kid Colt, I like the Yankees since I was born, or any of the players starting since about the late 60s, my 2 cents. Oh, yeah, I get it. At Brian Smith, 1760. The bunt the other night was the right play. Got a bunt at strikes. Neither were. Yeah, exactly. For those that didn't like the bunt play, let me put this scenario out. You got to understand that the playoffs are completely different. What if you're facing Mason Miller with 2 on, nobody out in the 9th inning in a tie game, and he's dotting at 104, and you have Rafael up? You're just going to expect you're going to get 2 hits in a row off him? No. That's why so many big league players have commented on this. You have to play differently. You have to. And the result is, if you don't, you won't win. I mean, it's simple. If you don't execute the small things in postseason, you go home. It's simple. So you can be against all these things, but when your team goes home because they can't do basic things, then don't be mad. But it's amazing the outpouring of people who are against him bunting in that situation. It makes no sense, especially when you did it earlier and Rodon messed it up and you scored a run. And you're forcing their defense, which isn't good, to make plays. and you have a guy at the plate that strikes out pretty much, what's it, one every 3 or 4 at bats. You have to move the runners over. It's not even. It shouldn't even be a debate, but it's become this whole thing now where people are looking at analytics and man, it's I don't know. It's sometimes it gets way too overanalyzed. Postseason, little things. We saw it. I saw it in all the games yesterday too. At Butch McCain, 1-7-7-1, hoping for the best, expecting the worst. Go Sox. Yep. I think we all kind of had a feelings, that second game was huge and it didn't work out. But I am really looking forward to 2026. The offseason is going to be fun. And doing this every day, well, Monday through Friday, but talking to a lot of you every day has been absolutely fantastic. We'll see on Monday. Not sure the plan going forward, but we will definitely keep you updated. So this has been a great season of the 2025 Boston Red Sox. It is Red Sox Now, presented by FanArch. And have a great weekend. And as always, go Sox.